All right, get ready because we're diving into some seriously powerful stuff today. Jacob's blessings from Genesis chapter 49.
Oh, yeah.
These aren't just your average fatherly goodbyes.
Right.
We're talking prophetic pronouncements
Yeah.
that shape the future of the 12 tribes of Israel.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
These blessings are like a blend of personality assessments, glimpses into the tribe's destinies,
Yeah.
and even a touch of political foreshadowing.
Exactly. And it gets pretty intense.
Yeah.
I mean, one son is compared to a serpent, another to a lion. Plus, there's this whole prophecy about a ruler who's going to come.
Right.
It's mind-blowing.
Let's set the scene.
Okay.
Jacob, nearing the end of his life, gathers his sons.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pivotal moment, a passing of the torch to the next generation. But what's striking is that these pronouncements aren't just personal opinions. They carry a weight that goes way beyond family drama.
You're right. It feels like we're witnessing the very foundations of a nation being laid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the future of the Israelite nation taking shape right before our eyes.
Let's start with Reuben, the firstborn.
Okay.
Talk about a fall from grace.
It's a powerful reminder that birthright doesn't guarantee leadership.
Oh, for sure.
Jacob describes Reuben as unstable as water, pointing to his past transgression, going up to his father's bed.
Right.
That instability, that lack of self-control, costs him the leadership position he was supposed to inherit.
And it's not just a personal consequence, right?
No.
It has ramifications for the entire tribe.
Absolutely. The tribe of Reuben never really rises to prominence in Israelite history. It's almost as if this blessing, or perhaps more accurately, lack of blessing, foreshadowed their future trajectory.
It makes you wonder if there's a connection between individual character and the destiny of a whole group of people.
That's a question that echoes throughout history, isn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
The link between individual choices and collective fate.
Then we have Simeon and Levi who get hit with a pretty intense curse.
Their anger and violence, remember the Shechem incident?
Right.
Well, it earns them a harsh sentence. Scattering.
Yeah.
Jacob even declares, "Cursed be their anger, for it was fierce, and their wrath, for it was cruel. I will divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel."
Scattering was a big deal back then, right?
Yeah.
It meant losing your land, your unity, your identity as a tribe.
It did. It was seen as a disruption of the social and familial fabric. But here's where it gets interesting. Levi actually becomes the priestly tribe.
Wait, really? The tribe condemned for its violence becomes the one dedicated to spiritual service.
Exactly. And they're scattered throughout Israel, just as Jacob predicted.
Huh.
It's almost like a twist of irony, the tribe marked by anger finding its purpose in mediating between God and the people.
Okay, now for the main event, Judah, the Lion King, the imagery in this blessing is just epic.
It's powerful. He's destined for leadership, no doubt. Jacob proclaims, "Judah, you are he whom your brothers shall praise. Your hand shall be on the neck of your enemies. Your father's children shall bow down before you." It's a vision of dominance, of power, of undeniable kingship.
And not just any kingship, it sounds like a dynasty is being established here.
You're picking up on something crucial. This isn't just about Judah's personal strength.
Right.
It's about the enduring legacy of his tribe.
Yeah.
And that's where the prophecy of the scepter comes in.
This is where it gets really interesting.
Jacob declares, "The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh comes. And unto him shall the gathering of the people be."
Okay, hold on. I need to process this. A scepter.
Yeah.
Shiloh. Gathering of the people. What does it all mean?
Let's unpack it.
Okay.
A scepter, as you might know, is a symbol of royal authority in ancient cultures. Think of it as a king's staff, a visible representation of their power and legitimacy.
So this is saying that Judah's tribe will hold that power, that leadership role.
Exactly. They will be the ruling tribe of Israel. But there's a twist. It's not an indefinite rule.
Oh,
It's until Shiloh comes.
who is Shiloh? Is that another one of Jacob's sons?
That's where things get a bit more complicated. Shiloh isn't a name that pops up elsewhere in the Bible. It's become a point of much debate and interpretation.
So what are the theories?
Some ancient Jewish commentators interpreted Shiloh as a messianic figure, a future king who would come from the line of Judah and restore Israel to its former glory.
Okay, I see where this is going.
Uh-huh.
And Christians link this to Jesus.
Many Christians interpret this prophecy as a direct prediction of Jesus Christ's arrival.
Right.
They see him as the Messiah descended from Judah, the one who will ultimately gather people from all nations.
But I'm guessing there are other interpretations too.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be biblical prophecy without some ambiguity, right?
You got it.
Uh-huh.
Some scholars believe Shiloh might refer to a place, perhaps a city or a sanctuary, rather than a person. It could be about the establishment of a central place of worship or a capital city for Israel. Others suggest that Shiloh might simply be a symbolic term, representing a time of peace and prosperity for the tribe of Judah.
Wow, so much packed into one little word.
And that's the beauty of it, isn't it? It sparks debate, encourages deeper thinking, and invites us to grapple with the mysteries of prophetic language.
Speaking of mysteries, let's talk about that vivid imagery in Judah's blessing. His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. It's not your average fatherly compliment.
It's striking, isn't it?
It is.
This isn't just about physical appearance, it's about abundance and prosperity.
Right.
Remember, wine was a symbol of celebration and abundance in ancient cultures. And milk, well, it represents nourishment and fertility.
So it's almost like Jacob is painting a picture of Judah's tribe thriving in a land overflowing with richness.
Precisely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, we know that the tribe of Judah eventually settles in a fertile region blessed with vineyards and pastures. Their later prominence as leaders and kings in Israel aligns with this image of abundance and strength.
It's like this blessing foreshadows not only their political dominance, but also their economic success.
Exactly. It's almost as if Jacob, with divine inspiration, is weaving together threads of individual character, tribal destiny, and even geographical realities in these pronouncements.
All right, so we've got a tribe destined for leadership, abundance, and maybe even a connection to a future Messiah. Let's see what's in store for the rest of Jacob's sons.
Jacob's blessings are so fascinating because they give us such a vivid glimpse into the future of these tribes. It's like he's painting a tapestry of their individual characters and destinies.
It makes you wonder, though, how much of it was predetermined destiny versus the tribes shaping their own paths based on these pronouncements. Like, did they become who they were because of the blessings, or were the blessings simply reflections of their inherent natures?
That's a question that's intrigued theologians and scholars for centuries. The relationship between prophecy and free will is complex, but what's undeniable is the impact these pronouncements had on the tribe's self-perception and on their interactions with each other.
It's like these blessings became part of their tribal DNA, influencing their decisions and their actions.
Exactly. For example, think about Zebulun, whose blessing is linked to the sea. Jacob states, "Zebulun shall dwell at the haven of the sea, and he shall be for a haven of ships, and his border shall be unto Zidon."
So, are we talking about a tribe of seafaring merchants and explorers?
It seems that way. And looking at their later history, we see that the tribe of Zebulun did indeed settle along the coast and become known for their maritime activities. They were involved in trade, fishing, and perhaps even shipbuilding.
It's like Jacob's words planted a seed that grew into their cultural identity.
Then there's Issachar, who's compared to a strong but perhaps complacent donkey. Jacob says, "Issachar is a strong ass couching down between two burdens."
It doesn't sound like the most flattering comparison.
It doesn't, does it? But there's more to it than meets the eye. The donkey, in ancient times, was a valuable beast of burden, essential for agriculture and transport. And Issachar's blessing acknowledges their strength and their willingness to bear burdens.
But there's also this sense of them being content with their lot, maybe even a bit passive.
Yes, there's a suggestion that they might be more inclined to enjoy the fruits of their labor than to strive for greater power or influence. And this seems to play out in their history. They settled in a fertile region and were known for their agricultural prosperity, but they didn't play as prominent a role in political or military affairs as some of the other tribes.
It makes me think about how different strengths and inclinations can lead to different paths, each with its own value.
Exactly. It's not about one tribe being better than another. It's about recognizing the diversity of talents and roles within the larger nation of Israel.
Okay, let's talk about Dan. His blessing is pretty intense. He's compared to a serpent.
It's certainly one of the more unsettling images. Jacob says, "Dan shall be a serpent, by the way, an adder in the path that biteth the horse heels, so that his rider shall fall backward."
I'm getting some serious Game of Thrones vibes here. What's the significance of the serpent imagery?
The serpent, in many ancient cultures, was both feared and revered. It represented cunning, stealth, and the ability to strike unexpectedly.
So does this mean Dan's tribe will be known for their trickery or their military prowess?
Perhaps both. The imagery suggests they might be a force to be reckoned with, capable of defending themselves, but also prone to using less conventional tactics. And if we look at their later history, we see that Dan's tribe does indeed engage in conflict and migration, eventually settling in a territory far from their original homeland.
It's almost like their blessing foreshadows their journey, a path marked by both danger and adaptability.
And speaking of facing challenges, Gad's blessing speaks of overcoming hardship. Jacob says, Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last.
It sounds like a prophecy of resilience in the face of adversity.
It does, and we know that Gad's tribe settled in an area east of the Jordan River, a region that was often subject to raids and invasions. Their history is marked by constant battles to protect their territory.
So they lived up to their blessing, fighting for their survival,
Yeah.
and ultimately prevailing.
Exactly. Their story is a testament to the human spirit's ability to endure and overcome even the toughest challenges.
All right, let's switch gears to a more positive note. What about Asher? His blessing sounds downright delicious.
It does. Jacob declares, out of Asher his bread shall be fat, and he shall yield royal dainties.
It's an image of abundance and luxury, right?
Absolutely. Asher's tribe settled in a fertile region known for its olive oil and other agricultural products. They seem to have enjoyed a life of prosperity and comfort, living up to the promise of royal dainties.
And what about Naphtali? His blessing is quite poetic. Naphtali is a hind let loose. He giveth goodly words.
It's a beautiful image, isn't it? The hind, a graceful deer, symbolizes swiftness and agility. And the reference to goodly words might suggest eloquence, perhaps even a talent for poetry or storytelling.
So we're talking about a tribe of artists and orators.
It's possible. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of specific information about Naphtali's tribe's cultural contributions, but their blessing hints at a refinement and a creativity that sets them apart.
It's fascinating how each of these blessings, even the short ones, offer these tantalizing glimpses into the tribe's personalities and destinies.
It's like Jacob is giving us a sneak peek into the diverse tapestry of Israel, showcasing the unique strengths and characteristics that each tribe will bring to the nation.
All right, now for the son that gets the most attention, Joseph. His blessing is a roller coaster of emotions.
It is. It's a reflection of his own life story, a tale of betrayal, hardship, and ultimately triumph. Jacob speaks with such tenderness and admiration for Joseph, acknowledging the pain he endured, but also celebrating his resilience and his rise to power.
His story is so epic, it almost feels like something out of a novel.
It does. Sold into slavery by his own brothers, falsely accused, imprisoned, and yet through it all, he maintains his integrity and his faith.
And he eventually rises to become second in command in Egypt, saving his family and his people from famine. Talk about a comeback story.
It's incredible, and his blessing captures all of that, the hardships, the strength, the ultimate victory. Jacob describes him as a fruitful bough, even a fruitful bough by a well, whose branches run over the wall, symbolizing growth, abundance, and influence that extends beyond boundaries.
He also uses some powerful metaphors. The shepherd, the stone of Israel. What do you make of that?
The shepherd is a protector, a guide, someone who cares for the flock, and the stone represents stability, a foundation upon which to build. These images point to Joseph's pivotal role in leading and providing for his people.
It's interesting, though, that even in the midst of praising Joseph, Jacob doesn't shy away from acknowledging his suffering. He says the archers have sorely grieved him and shot at him and hated him.
It's a reminder that even the most blessed lives are not without trials, but there's also a message of hope. But his bow abode in strength, and the arms of his hands were made strong by the hands of the mighty God of Jacob. It's a testament to Joseph's faith and his ability to overcome adversity with divine help.
It's like saying, you will face challenges, but you will emerge stronger, more resilient, and ultimately victorious.
Exactly, and that message resonates not just with Joseph's personal story, but also with the broader story of Israel. They too will face hardships, but they will ultimately prevail.
All right, we've covered 11 sons. Time for the grand finale. What's in store for Benjamin?
His blessing is one of the most intriguing and perhaps the most surprising. He's described as a ravenous wolf. Jacob says, Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. In the morning he shall devour the prey, and at night he shall divide the spoil.
Whoa, that's a stark contrast to Joseph's blessing.
Yeah.
We're not talking about shepherds and fruitful boughs here. It sounds fierce, almost predatory.
It does. And it raises questions about Benjamin's tribe's future role. Will they be known for their military strength, their aggressive nature, or perhaps a combination of both?
Well, we know that a famous Benjamite, King Saul, will eventually rise to power. He wasn't exactly known for his gentle nature.
It's true. Saul's reign was marked by both military success and internal conflict. Perhaps Benjamin's blessing foreshadows that duality, a tribe capable of great strength and leadership, but also prone to internal strife.
It's fascinating how these blessings, delivered thousands of years ago, seem to echo through the generations, shaping the destinies of these tribes.
It's a testament to the power of words, especially words spoken with such prophetic weight. They become part of the collective memory, influencing self-perception, shaping interactions, and perhaps even steering the course of history.
It makes you wonder, though, what about the tribes that didn't receive such detailed or positive blessings? Did they feel overshadowed, perhaps even resentful?
That's a great question, and it's one that historians and biblical scholars have debated. We can only speculate, but it's certainly possible that these blessings created a hierarchy of sorts, with some tribes feeling more favored or destined for greatness than others.
And could that have contributed to the tensions and conflicts that later arose between the tribes?
It's definitely a possibility. These pronouncements, while intended to bless and guide, could also have inadvertently sown seeds of rivalry and division. It's a reminder that even the most well-intentioned words can have unintended consequences, especially when dealing with complex family dynamics and power structures.
Yeah.
It really does make you think.
As we've been unpacking these blessings, one thing that's really struck me is the sheer variety.
Right.
They've got everything from fierce wolves and cunning serpents to fruitful boughs and graceful hinds.
It's like Jacob is highlighting the unique potential within each of his sons, acknowledging that there's no one-size-fits-all path to greatness.
Exactly. And it's not just about their individual strengths. It's about how those strengths contribute to the larger tapestry of Israel.
Yeah. It's like he's assembling a team, each member with their own specialized role to play.
That's a great analogy. You need the strong and steady Issachar to bear the burdens, the swift and agile Naphtali to deliver messages, the cunning Dan to strategize, and the fierce Benjamin to defend.
And of course, you need the visionary leader like Judah to guide them all.
Precisely. And perhaps that's one of the key takeaways from these blessings, the importance of diversity, of recognizing and valuing the unique contributions of each individual within a community.
It's a message that's so relevant today, especially in a world that often tries to fit everyone into the same mold.
It is. These blessings remind us that true strength lies in embracing our differences, our unique talents and perspectives, and working together to achieve a common goal.
Another thing that's been on my mind is the way Jacob weaves together both individual destiny and national identity in these pronouncements. It's like he's simultaneously shaping the futures of his sons and laying the groundwork for a nation. That's a really insightful observation. He's not just blessing individuals, he's blessing the very concept of Israel. He's creating a shared narrative, a sense of collective purpose that will bind these tribes together.
And yet, as we've discussed, there's also this undercurrent of potential conflict, of rivalry and division.
Yeah.
It's like he's acknowledging that even within this chosen family, there will be challenges, disagreements, and maybe even struggles for power.
It's a reminder that human relationships, even within families, are complex. There will always be tensions, different personalities, competing ambitions, and that's reflected in the history of Israel. They experienced periods of unity and cooperation, but also times of division and conflict.
It's almost like Jacob is giving us a realistic view of nation building. It's not all sunshine and roses. There will be bumps along the way, internal struggles, and the constant need to navigate those complexities.
Exactly. And perhaps that's another key takeaway from these blessings, a recognition that unity doesn't mean uniformity. It's about finding ways to work together despite differences, to embrace those differences as strengths, and to strive for a common good even amidst disagreements.
Okay, before we wrap up, there's one more thing I want to touch on.
Okay.
We've talked about the prophetic nature of these blessings, how they seem to foreshadow the tribe's destinies. But what about their impact on the individuals themselves? How do you think these pronouncements shaped their self-perceptions and their choices?
That's a fascinating question. Imagine being a young man hearing your father, a revered patriarch, declare your future, your strengths, your weaknesses. It would be a defining moment, shaping your sense of self and your expectations for your life.
It could be empowering, right? Like, wow, my father believes I'm destined for greatness. But it could also be a burden, a pressure to live up to those expectations.
Absolutely. And it might even limit their choices, leading them to pursue paths they felt were predetermined, rather than exploring their own passions and talents.
It makes you think about the power of words, especially words spoken with authority. They can have a profound impact, shaping not just our understanding of the world, but also our understanding of ourselves.
And it raises questions about the balance between accepting guidance and forging our own paths. These blessings offer a framework, a sense of direction, but ultimately it's up to each individual to decide how to live out their own story.
So, as we conclude our deep dive into Jacob's blessings, I'm left with a sense of awe at the complexity and the enduring power of these ancient words. They offer a window into the history of a nation, the dynamics of a family, and the timeless human struggles with identity, destiny, and the power of words.
They do. And they challenge us to think deeply about our own legacies, the words we speak, and the impact we have on those around us. They invite us to embrace our unique strength, navigate our challenges, and strive for unity amidst diversity.
Thank you for joining us on this journey into the heart of Jacob's blessings. We hope you've gained some new insights and perspectives on this fascinating chapter of the Bible.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.